and I always say this, I never lose. Either I win or I learn. I win or I learn. So I now see a risk as a lesson. If it doesn't work out, well, I know now not to do it the next time. If I lost money here or this deal, okay, we're not gonna go that route anymore. Now I know what to look out for. I need better contracts. I need better people on the team, better lawyers. That way this mistake that costed me $100,000, it was a lesson, but it's not gonna happen again. If you don't take the risk, you're not gonna grow.
Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast, my YouTube, wherever it is that you're listening to this on, maybe Spotify. I have a local Texan. I have a local Texan, Miss Stepheny Jacquez. Jacquez. I speak 2 languages, as all the viewers know. I'm like trying to always hash up the different vowels. But I've got a beautiful woman here today, not just beautiful on the outside, but in the inside of the soul. And whenever we do these podcasts, whenever I bring people on, I always like to explain, I want to bring people from like different states, different backgrounds, different ethnicities. And we found this gorgeous young woman on social media, and I started scrolling through everything, and I'm like, man, she's jacked. She loves to take care of her family. She loves running businesses. And I'm like, she likes to help her community. I'm like, I want to do an interview with this gal. And she loves growing and running to pressure.
That's right.
And we got on a phone call like a week ago or a couple days ago.
A couple of days ago.
Yeah, and I was just like, what's your story? Tell me about you. And I'm like, I am talking to my Hispanic twin sister. So
we have a lot in common.
Yeah, coming from a background of automotive, starting at a dealership at age 18, and now she's running her full agency in the insurance world, and her story is wonderful. So welcome, Ms. Stepheny.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here and get to know each other, share the story, and see how we can impact others.
Yes. So Stepheny currently is running 3 different businesses. They're all in different industries. We have life insurance. That's our first one. You have real estate, and you also have automotive. So what I love about her story is she's so very well diverse. It's not just one thing. You know, you're kind of like, you're multidimensional.
Yes.
And you're like an octopus. Like you have multiple hands, like you're like Spider-Man, and you know how to operate teams, people, and also family. So let's dive into the podcast. And this is the first question that I ask anybody that sits here, so I'm going to ask you this too. Okay. Why should people listen to this podcast? Why should people listen to your story?
People should listen to the podcast and to the story because I share a story of grit, of overcoming, of defying the odds when everyone thought I wasn't going to make it. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that might feel the same way, a lot of young moms that feel that they're not going to make it. Well, I'm here to say that you will and you can.
That's powerful. I was trying to see if she was going to say and she did it. She had it right. Actually, her sister is here. She's behind the camera. You can say hi, Kim. Hi. her sister lives here in Arizona and came with her, and she's like clapping on the side because she's so proud of her. So when we say bring our family along, I was like, bring your kids, your husband, your sisters, and her sister's sitting right back behind you on camera. And how long have you guys been following the Elliott group? How long have
Since
you been
they started.
Since
they started.
3 years ago?
3 years ago, I believe.
Okay.
Is that when they started?
Yeah. I mean, well, Andy has been taking YouTube videos for the past like 10 years.
Okay.
But officially the LLC was 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay,
yeah.
so that's around the time.
So we've kind of like, in a sense, virtually have grown together, like not in person, but now we are in person.
I've seen it, yes.
So what I would like to know is, because we've seen each other far apart, but now we're here in person, I want to know like your story. So tell us a little bit about you growing up, what life was like with 2 other sisters. And you guys, as much as you love each other, I can tell that there's some kind of like competition of you guys like always want to level each other up and grow and get better in life and in your relationship. So what was life like for you growing up, especially being like a Latina in a community, when you said all odds are against you? What was that like? Walk us through it.
My upbringing was I grew up in a Latin family, a hardworking dad, very strong mom. They came from, my dad was born in Mexico. They came here. We came to Houston when I was about, I would say 9-10 years old. The middle child, so I always say I have middle child syndrome. I am the middle child of 3 sisters. I have the oldest, which is Meredith, Kimberly the youngest, and our dad just instilled in us hard work. He would always say, when you work hard, you're gonna make it, you'll get what you want, work very, very hard. He would take us to his job sites. Has an AC company. I would be up in the attic with him, passing him his tools, and we would go to these homes, and one day you can have a house like this.
Oh,
and one day you can do whatever it is that you want. So that was his main thing with us, that you can accomplish what you set your mind to. And we're all women. He didn't have a boy, so he taught all three of us different, instilled in us different, what can I say it? He instilled different, I would say, skills. And each one of us, depending on what our personalities were. And he made me very tough. I am very tough in certain areas, and I really do believe that I can do anything I set my mind to. Sports, I grew up in sports, karate, volleyball. I'm a red belt in karate, and soccer. Anything that I would set my mind, I'm like, I can do it. My dad said I can do it, so I'm going to do it.
And was your mom involved a lot?
A lot, yes.
About your dad. Did she work in his business with him too, or
no? She was more a stay-at-home mom when we were younger. She's always really, her job was care for us, make sure that what she instilled in us, you always look the part, always look your best. No matter where you show up, you look
overdressed, not under.
Overdress, even if you're going out. And she was a supportive one, and she's very strong personality, very strong character, and I think all three of us got that side of her where we can stand up for ourselves. We're not afraid of speaking our mind, and that's something we got from her, character, and from my dad, a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work.
Very good. And why entrepreneurship? We talked about college a little bit earlier. Something that's very big in the Elliott group, very like a controversial thing that some people believe and don't believe in, is like, you got to go to college. No, you don't. Like my boyfriend
I'm a believer of that.
Like my boyfriend was a college dropout, but I wasn't a college dropout. I went to college too. Actually, I did college and entrepreneurship. So to each is its own based off of your background and experiences. And some people didn't have the money to go to college. I was fortunate to where I sold so many cars to where I took the paycheck and I invested it into college, so I was able to do both. So like, what dipped you like right into selling cars at 18?
Okay, so long story short, I became a mom. I met my husband. My husband, we met in high school. We're high school sweethearts, met and we became best friends. I had the path of college in my life. That was the plan.
Yeah.
But life took a different direction. We met and I became pregnant at 16. I became a teen mom, and that completely changed the direction of my life and where we were heading. My goal was to be a nurse. My mom was at that point working in the medical field, and she said, I think you can be a nurse. So that's what I wanted, to pursue nursing school. And I meet him, we get along, we're great friends, and that pregnancy happens and we get married. We move in together when we're 16.
Wow.
So I went from being a teen, sports, all the time, sports, to growing up. Now I am on my own with my husband. I'm pregnant. I was very confused at the time. I was very scared. Where is life going to head us? What direction are we going to be in? A lot of emotions around that time. 16, I was terrified, to be honest. And
yeah, you're still growing up.
I'm still growing up. I was a kid having a kid.
Yeah,
I was a kid having a kid, and honestly, I didn't have a lot of background with children. Besides my sister, I never babysat a child.
You just knew how to do a diaper. And they're like, did you at least know that?
Probably not.
Oh, baby Jesus.
Probably
okay,
not at
all right,
16,
we got some
no.
lessons. Okay.
So then this happens, and we move in together. One thing about my husband and I say we're old souls. We were very young, but we were mature in a lot of ways. We both knew what we wanted out of life. I remember sitting in classroom in high school thinking, what am I doing here? I need to be out in the world. Like, there's a whole world, and my mind would just go, and I would have all these scenarios in my mind of what I would be doing, and it wasn't in a classroom. I feel like my time was being wasted. Not saying that at school is that, but for me, in my mind, that's what I felt like. I was meant for more, and I wanted to grow up so fast, which I did. And we had plans, we have communication. What is it that we want? We talked about different scenarios. My dad was an entrepreneur, his dad was an entrepreneur, and that was the way to go because I didn't want to have somebody else raise my son. I did have help, my mother-in-law and my mom, but that made us come to the conclusion that we're going to be entrepreneurs, and the car industry was it. So at 18, we got all the licenses that we needed. and we opened up the car dealership with 3 cars. We were a 2-man team.
Do you remember what 3 cars they were?
It was a 99 Tahoe. It was a
great
Lincoln.
Vehicle.
It was a Lincoln, the really long town
yeah.
cars.
I know what you're talking about.
Like the boat.
Yes.
It was huge.
Yes, they got our gas guzzlers. So you can drive down the road and fill up.
And a Jeep Cherokee. Those were the first 3 cars. And our very first client bought the car for his son and him to pull their boat. He was so happy. We gave him a great deal. And he's been a client ever since.
Wow. And were you operating, I worked at 3 different types of dealerships. Were you guys like starting off like at a trailer or out of like your house, or did you actually have a location? Facility?
We had a location.
And you just, was it like part of a building you're renting it out, or?
We were renting and ended up into purchasing the location, but now it's a facility. It's an office space with a lot all around it. Skated in East Houston. It's called Original Motors, and we offer in-house financing for the clients.
And you have a team there. How big is your team?
We have a team of several. We have salespeople, 2 ladies, our front desk ladies. They're great. They are great with clients, but they are firm when they need to be. And we have mechanics, painters, all of that to take care of everything.
And not to go back away from, I want to really focus like on your husband and your family. What is if there was one moment that you could relive with your husband again, what would it be?
If there was one moment to relive, there's so
like
many.
If you could go pick one. And I had this moment in my brain this morning. I got super emotional. We my boyfriend and I are triathletes, so we bike, swim, run, we do races. And this morning we were both biking together. We had like an hour route, and we drove past by one of these a year ago, right before we first started dating. My mom came out here and flew out, visited me, and she was staying at an Airbnb. And he had dropped me off because I didn't have a car. I don't know where my car was at, but my boyfriend dropped me off. And I remember that Airbnb, and we drove past by it this morning, or we were biking right past by it. And I was like, oh, Tyler, remember that? I was like, I haven't seen that building since a year ago before we started dating. And I'm like, oh man, if I could just like kind of slip back into that again. And you know, it kind of gave me all the feels, you know.
Okay, so now I can think of a great memory. We were in the office late at night. Our work days were really long. We had our toddler, and there were moments where we were stressed. We didn't know what was going to happen, what was going to come, and he always tells me, just trust me. Trust me, everything's going to work out. And that's one thing about my husband. Every time he says, trust me, it's going to happen, it happens. And I trust him 1,000% completely. Anything that he says, I know it's going to come through, and we're going to make it work. So in those moments where we just felt like things were collapsing because it was a business that was just starting out, we had faith. And we had those conversations.
That's powerful. Is he faith-based too as well?
He is.
Both of you guys? And man, that's crazy. Everything comes back to believing and having faith, and that all comes from the Bible.
It does. Having faith, faith and hope that it's going to work out.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, like, just believe in the process blindly, because sometimes you can't always see the end result. It's like having the gold mine. You're hunting and scraping for the gold.
And when is it coming?
Yeah. And sometimes people give up right before the gold is right there, and you give up all your tools, and another miner comes by, and within 2 days he hits the gold mine. Isn't that crazy?
But you just have to be persistent. You stay on the plan no matter what.
It's so true. So when we were talking on the phone the other day, you're like, I like doing tough stuff. Like, I like doing male stuff, which is funny because I love it too. It's a weird, sick addiction. Like, where does it come from for you? Like, why? What drives you? Why do you like it? I know why it is for me, but I like to hear from other women.
Okay, for me, I think it's a sense of constantly accomplishing something and doing hard things over and over. I need to have that thrill. I need to know that I am strong, and doing certain obstacles that I know that most women don't normally do, or it's not common, gives me excitement.
What do you do to build your self-esteem? What's something that you do?
I talk to myself all the time.
Ooh, that's spicy. Josiah, we're making that the head title. This is how you need to talk to yourself to build your self-esteem if you want to be like Stepheny and have multi-million-dollar figure businesses. Yeah, we're going to do that whole paragraph for the title. Okay, I'm assuming this is like by yourself too? Like when you wake up in the morning, what are some things that you...
When I wake up in the morning, I do gratitude. I get ready for the day right before shower. I really do just talk to myself. I really do love who I am. And once you have that love for yourself, no matter what anyone says out in the world, because we're always going to hear different things from different people, it's not true, because I know deep down who I am, what I'm meant to do, and I know that I love myself. And when you really have that love for you, people will start gravitating towards it.
Every morning that we wake up, we always say, I'm strong and I'm an overcomer. But we like scream it. Mm-hmm. We say it really loud.
Really
yeah, say it. Because
you have
the
to
words.
Believe it.
Go ahead.
You believe it, then it comes true.
Yeah, the words are powerful. We're not, well, you'll see later, our house is not a typical house. We have like vision boards in our bedrooms, like displayed, because we want to brainwash ourselves that we're the best and we're going to get these things. Because it's like, if you're not growing every single day, you end up dying. You end up going backwards. So do you have a gratitude journal? Do you write as well?
I'm not a writer. Okay. I'm more visual. So now I've gone virtual.
Oh,
with my vision boards, and it's on my screensaver.
Oh, or like your phone, like the backdrop
on my phone,
of your phone?
And I say it every single day. Every time I tap my phone, I'm reminded of what I'm working towards.
Does your dad have a close relationship with your husband?
They do, and they have the same name.
Oh, really?
Juan Carlos.
Wow. Oh!
Both of them have the same name.
That is so funny. Do you call him JC for short, or one of them JC for short? No, the whole thing. I ain't going to say it because I know I'm going to say it so white. I'm just too white. I'm going to let you take over the reins.
Juan Carlos, they share the same name.
Okay.
And they both are the strongest men in my life. They want what's best for me. They're constantly pushing me to overcome, to reach new goals, and they're my biggest believers in everything that I do.
I love that. What's a leadership philosophy that you have? Something that like you live by, because you are obviously a leader. Clearly, you've got multiple teams. I love that. I'll tell people like, oh, bring your family along in the podcast with you, and some people just won't. And I love it when people do, because I'm like, oh, you're a leader because
you want to bring them along.
Yeah, you want to bring them on the journey. So I can tell that you have that spirit inside of you. What's a philosophy that you have, or like, what do you live by when it comes to leadership?
When it comes to leadership, is genuine intentions, passion, faith, and wanting what's best for others. Sometimes you have to put other people's needs before your own to really build them up and create a sense of environment that is good for everyone, where they'll thrive in.
All these little stories that you're telling me, is this accessible like online?
Yes.
Like if I were to see your website or wherever you have it, like are these stories put somewhere out there?
I haven't put them out there as much. I actually don't share my personal life as much.
Why? Why don't you? I think it's empowering. I love it. That's why I'm asking these questions, because I didn't see it on your profile. Why don't you share more of it?
I think for a long time, and this was my own mental holdback for a while, and it comes back to the car dealership. Being so young, a woman, and sometimes a Latina, and trying to grow in certain areas, I felt I didn't want the judgment. So I had to act a certain way. I had to portray this image of being very strong, or I didn't want to talk about being a teen mom because I didn't want that to be somewhere where I was attacked. So I would protect that part of my life. So I didn't share it. I wanted people to follow me, or for my personality, how I would lead, how I would sell, how I'm talking and how I'm communicating. And for, again, a long time, I wasn't including it. And now where I feel like I've got into a certain space or a certain part of success, I'm comfortable sharing that part, because I can say, okay, I've gone through all of that. I'm here now. So can you? Yeah. So I'm one of the reasons why I'm here. I want to start sharing more of my life story.
Yeah. Who cares about what other people think? It's like, because I want to know that about you. That's the stuff, because it's real and it's relatable. And my mom had me at 15. My mom was a teen parent too. Well, I feel like almost my mom had it worse, because my mother's side of the family is Japanese. And if you have a child before you are married, you are disowned from the family. You're not allowed to enter in the country. You're not allowed to, well, as they say, you're not allowed to enter back into the home. So my mom was forfeiting her entire family, or I guess have an abortion with me. I mean, there's no other way. But it's like, there's other teen moms out there that need to hear that kind of stuff, Or maybe somebody that's out there right now has a pregnancy right now, and they're like on the line, And but this story is just like relatable, and that's what I love. That's what we were talking about on the phone, and I'm like, pull those stories out, because
they're real.
Yeah,
and there's history, and there's a lot of There's a lot of good story and all the things that I've overcome, and you are inspiring me to start talking about it.
Yeah, you know, I don't share this story a lot. I don't. This is a story that I have that is not publicly advertised. Like I don't put it intentionally on. Like I've mentioned it once or twice on a podcast, but I won't go out of my way to create like a reel or a short form video. But when I was 23 years old, when I was working at my dealership, there was an employee there that raped me.
Okay.
And I had to work with that employee, and I was still going to college full time, selling cars full time. I mean, it was this whole thing. I went up to the owners, and I'm just like, hey, this is what just happened to me. And they're just like, oh, you're fine, get over it, kind of thing. And it messed me up, and I'm alone. My parents weren't in Hawaii. I'm living in one of the most expensive states in the United States of America. I got bills to pay. I got to eat. But I'm trying to put on this tough face of like, I can pull through this. I'm definitely not going to call my parents. Like, I can't even imagine what they would do or say, or they're like, oh, my baby. I mean, they didn't want me to sell cars in the first place. You know what I mean? Their job is to protect me. And at 18 or even 23, you know, my grandparents don't want me sweating my butt off in the sun and like, oh, you want to be a car salesman, you know?
It's not what most people envision.
Yeah. Everybody told me, I want you to go become a nurse or I want you to go marry a doctor. I'm like, I don't want to be a dental hygienist. I'm sure that those jobs are great, but just like you, like I'm meant for more. Like I have such a front-facing personality that is designed for more. And I'm like, I can't have those jobs, but I was just going through it. And at the time, obviously that's when I like hid away from the world. Nobody knew me. But when I started coming around Andy and like hearing his story, I'm like, I can't even imagine like if more women heard my story. And so when I started to talk about my story, like I'm on like coaching calls and Zoom calls, and more women started to hear that, oh my gosh, Stepheny, I had DMs left and right of women being like, I was just sexually harassed. I just experienced what you experienced. What do I do in my situation? And then it made me think like, how many other people are out there that need
to
help?
hear your story.
Yeah.
And they know it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and
and you're so strong, by the way.
Oh, you are too. This is why we're freaking doing this, you know. And I mean, now it's like I'm like 30, so it's different than being 23 because I grew from it. But back then, when you're going through it, you just don't know. When you're having your toddler running around the business, you just don't know what to do, but you figure it out.
You figure it out.
You know, like you find a way. And now it's easier for me to talk about it because like I've forgiven everybody. Like I've moved on. I'm a new person.
Healed.
Yeah, and you grow, and those things, I almost say, like, I'm glad that struggle, like the stress on you and the stress on me, was the best thing to ever happen to us.
I agree.
So good.
I agree. I am grateful for everything and that I've gone through because it's made me who I am today. And if we wouldn't have gone through those things, where would we have been? It could have been a different path.
Yeah.
So I don't regret anything.
It's so true. Okay, and so we talked about a little bit about leadership philosophy. With you in team building, your team at your dealership, let's just go with that because they're live and in person. What are some things that you guys do like all together? Do you guys have family outings, team outings, kind of things like that? How does that work inside of the company?
We are a family, basically. We are a family. We stick up for each other. We are in each other's corners. Their family. So we have mom and daughter working front desk. They are great. They really are. Araceli, I mean, she is tough as nails. It's a hard industry when you have to pick up the phone and make hard calls, and she does a great job at doing that. Their family is also part in the mechanic, the mechanic department. So we are together. We're friends. Armando, he has a young son. He moved in from Mexico, so we support every single one in the teams. We have Christmas parties or family events. We try to make sure that they know that they're valued, taken care of, and that they are in the place where all their hard work is being noticed and acknowledged.
Recognition.
Okay,
so and your agency that you're building, that's all virtual, right? I'm assuming not everybody lives 10 minutes away from you.
Correct.
Or they're all over the US.
Yes,
so for them,
growing.
What do you do? How do you create the team culture when it's all virtual? Like you can't just go down the road and be like, let me get you a Christmas gift, or let me come say hi to your kids. What is something?
You really have, for me, what I've been doing is I try to connect with as many as I can one-on-one, really understanding who they are, why they're doing it, what is their why are they getting in the industry, what is it where they're trying to be, that way, when it comes to leading, you know the why. When they want to give up, you remind, you bring it up. Remember why you're here. Things are going to get tough, but you're going to get through it, and we're going to grow together, and we have a vision together. The vision is the same. We're all working towards the same thing, and if we're doing it together, we'll get there faster. We're supporting each other, and that's my goal, to make sure that everybody is seen, felt, heard, and I understand what they're working towards and how we're going to make it work. What can I do to facilitate that?
You self-develop a lot. I can tell that you self-develop a lot.
I do.
How frequently do you read?
Every day.
Every day?
I read a little bit every day, but audios.
Oh, you love audios.
Long.
I know, I'm the same with audio.
Audios, and I listen to a little bit of everything depending on what my mood is that day. Sometimes it's hard rock.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's Spanish, Mexican music. Sometimes it's Tony Robbins. A little bit of everything. I listen to everything that I can possibly listen to.
You're probably pumping at the dealership. You guys are just parting all day long. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what we are here at the LA Group.
The environment. My husband is tough, so I have to be. We're all just tough.
I love that.
The mentality. It's all about mentality, because if you don't have the right mindset.
Yeah. I notice your kids are in sports.
They are.
As well, too. So did you instill that? Because my mom didn't. Actually, my mom did. She did mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu a little bit as a kid growing up, karate. My mother moved to the United States when she was 10 years old from Japan. So she was doing that in Japan when she was a kid. And I remember us moving to the United States, or when she moved to the United States, she always said, oh, my kids are going to be in like music or dance, because our biggest concern was not getting into drugs.
Yes.
So keeping the kids busy. So what's the reason why you put your kids through sports?
Development. My son, he's 15, the oldest. He plays basketball. He's 6'5", and he takes basketball very serious. He has his basketball coach. I drive an hour just to take him to practice.
Wow.
We are very dedicated to his goals and his dreams of basketball. For me, the main thing is the discipline, the team bonding, being a team player, and the consistency that sports gives you. And I feel like I've learned a lot of my skills when I was in sports, so they need to learn them. The sooner they can learn them, the better.
Do you listen to Andy Frisella?
I do.
You know who I'm talking about? The big guy with the big
Yes.
beard. He's always talking about, he has this book, it's Mental Toughness. And I love this book because it talks about when you do the hard things that most people can't do or are not willing to do, it not only does it build your self-esteem, but nobody can take that away from you. Exactly. Like, I can't take away your experiences and the builds that you've gone through with your company. So, and also another thing that you do that I love is you're a risk taker, because you're also in real estate. So do you guys buy, flip, sell? What is the process?
We buy and hold. We have commercial properties, residential, we flip, we wholesale. We do a little bit of everything.
Okay. And in order to do that, or to even start like your first chain, you had to have taken a risk. So what was that like with you and your husband? Like looking at each other like, are you sure we want to do this? Because most people be like, nah, let's just go buy a Lamborghini instead. You know, let's just go do this or that or spend our money on this. But what was that conversation like when you're like, should we do it? Should we not?
If there's no risk, there's no rewards. My husband always says, he says it in Spanish, scared money doesn't make money.
Oh, how do you say that in Spanish?
Del miedo no se hace... I can't remember how he says it, but scared money doesn't make money.
Oh, he says it a specific way?
He has his way of saying it. And if you're not investing, you're not growing. We make our money, but what's the next move? What's going to take us? It's easy to go buy a car, but your money's just sitting there.
Yeah.
And we're still in our building phase. We've been in the industry now for 13 years, but we're constantly building. I'm not ready just to slow down. What's our next move, our next investment? And once you take the first risk, which we did when we were 18, then it's okay. Now you can handle it. Even if we lose money, I mean, I always say this, I never lose. Either I win or I learn. I win or I learn. So I now see a risk as a lesson. If it doesn't work out, well, I know now not to do it the next time. If I lost money here in this deal, okay, we're not going to go that route anymore. Now I know what to look out for. I need better contracts. I need better people on the team, better lawyers. That way, this mistake that costed me $100,000, it was a lesson, but it's not going to happen again. And if you don't take the risk, you're not going to grow.
Yeah, man. So many people are scared of that. They're scared to like lose, but it's like everybody says like, oh, what if we file bankruptcy, or what if our business goes under?
What if I make $1 million?
Yeah, but what if it changes the other way and you do win?
And so it's just about perspective. Just make the first jump. And if you're going in already knowing that there is a risk, but what's the worst thing that can happen? I lose money. What's the best thing that can happen? I make money. Okay, well, maybe it's worth the risk. Let's jump all in. If I lose it, I can make the money again. Money is energy. It comes and goes.
It's the #1 most replaceable commodity in the world.
Yeah,
there's billions of it out there. You know, they're like printing it right now.
Right. And of course, you're going to take calculated risk. You're going to look at these deals. You're going to make sure that they make sense and take a calculated risk, but it's worth it.
What do you like the most about like Jacqueline and Andy? Because you've watched them grow.
Their grit, their aggressiveness, how direct and honest they are, and their relationship, the family, the mission, but the directness. That's what I like.
That's hard for a lot of people. We had a conversation with a guy yesterday. There's a guy that came here, and you know, I told this guy, we have a lot of people, because we've grown so much, we have a lot of people that want to give us a lot of free stuff.
Okay.
Like for an example, there's a lot of CrossFit gyms here in Arizona. Okay. Like there are millions of them. Like CrossFit gyms. Yeah,
I went to one yesterday.
Oh, that's right. I saw that on your Instagram. Sorry. Or just like a local gym that you can walk into that does like small workouts. And man, all of them reach out to the Elliott group to do free sessions, or like, and I'm just like, we can't. Like there's so many of you guys, we can't leave every single Saturday and go to your CrossFit gym. Like we have lives, families, kids. Not only that, we have events every single month that we're prepping for, that we're getting ready for. And like, so 2 weekends, because one we're traveling to like Patrick Bet-David's event, and then the next weekend is like our event. And so the next weekend, that's our only weekend available with our kids. And I was talking to this guy yesterday, and I'm like, look, here's the deal. There's a lot of people that want to offer free stuff. And he did like copywriting, and I'm like, free stuff is great, but like, don't you want to grow your business? And he's like, oh, I wasn't going to give anything to you for free. I was going to charge you. And I'm like, okay, let's just say, this is what I said. I'm like, you got to think bigger. And I was like, let's just say I purchased your product. And let's just say you sign me on a retainer for 1 year, and I pay you $1,000 a month. And you do all my copywriting on my social media, all that good stuff. Is my $1,000 in your pocket every single month, is that really going to make a dent in your business? Is that going to take you from making, he currently, like, because he's only been in business, I think, like 2 years or 4 years, but the last 2 years, he did like 150K, I think, the last 2 years. I said, me paying you $1,000 every single month for the next year, is that really going to put you to 500K to $1 million? I'm like, you need way more pool of people to do business with, because I'm not going to make a difference. You just got engaged. And then on top of that, you want to start having a family. So you want to have your money work for you. You need a team. I'm like, your bandwidth is only so far. And he goes, well, I don't want to build a team. And I said, then you're going to keep making 150K every single year. I'm like,
that hurt his ego a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm like, but that's came the directness. And we were sitting with him. We had a full whiteboard, and we literally mapped out his whole, in the war room, we mapped out everything. And I'm like, here's the bottleneck, number 1, number 2, number 3. And he's like, well, I don't want to turn corporate. And I'm like, you don't have to go corporate. But I'm like, if you can have like 4 people underneath you where you're delegating work to.
I know you duplicated your hours.
Yes. But the problem with people in business is they're so scared to let it go to other people. But it's like, you're never going to grow. You're going to make the same amount. You have to be able to learn to grow. And I think it hurt his ego a little bit. And I'm just like, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm like, sure, I'll sign up with you, great, but now what?
But you put that thought in his mind. He probably wasn't thinking about it before, but now every time he's going to hear that in that voice, telling him the truth, and it's going to be there bugging him, and eventually he'll make the right move.
Exactly, and that's what I was hoping to give him, like, hey, these are your next, like, 5 steps. So I now want to take that situation, and he is somebody that it's really tough for him to be coached. I could tell by his body language. I could tell how uncomfortable he was. He was just the mannerisms, like I could just sense it. So he is somebody that is really tough to coach. I even asked him straight up. I'm like, can I coach you? Can I help you on your business? Andy has built a 9-figure business within 3 years. He's taught me how to build a 7-figure business. Now I have a 7-figure business. Now I'm trying to get to his level of 9-figure business. So now I'm like, can I coach you? Can I help you? And he's like, well, I'm kind of want to do it my own way. So now with your business, Stepheny, the 3 businesses that you have, how have you learned to be so coachable and be like, hey, I'm going to put my ego aside. There's some things that I don't know and I need to learn. How do you stay open-minded to learning new things?
I I always have been. I always have been, and that comes from sports, the coachable, having coaches, having trainers. You can only think of so much during the day. Your mind can only take so many thoughts. So if I can come in and have someone tell me exactly what I need to do to get to where I need to be, I mean, you just freed up my brain. I don't have to think about that anymore, and I can skip several steps and just get there directly. And coaches, they're cheat codes. They're guiding you to where you need to be. Either they have the experience, the background, the skills that you don't have. Bring them on.
Cheat codes. Never mind. We're retitling this, Josiah. Kim, we're retitling it. Cheat codes is what we're going to make it.
Okay.
I like that. That's kind of catchy, a cheat code. I haven't heard, we usually say like blueprint, but I like the cheat code word.
It's a cheat code. I can't remember where I heard it, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. They're coming to buy you some time.
Yeah. Compressed time frames is what we say. You know, if it took somebody, like it took me 10 years to figure out like the best way to sell cars until I found Andy, and then it's like, boom, I took the blueprint, the cheat code, and I'm like, oh.
It takes you to the next level.
Yeah, I wish I knew this at, 19 years old, but that's nor here or there because we're here now. You did, I want to talk about your family for a second because I know that you say family is like number one and important to you.
It is.
And it is for us inside of the Ellie group. We put like our kids first. I mean, our kids do birthdays here. Instead of doing it at school, they're like, Mom, Dad, can I come do birthdays at the den instead?
Love it.
They love it. Like, that's really important to us. So you did a post back in January, so this is what, like 6-7 months ago, and you said about your son, it says, it feels like yesterday you were a little one in my arms, and he turned 15 years old.
Yeah,
and you wrote that post. And I'm not a mom yet, and I have 3 brothers that I helped raise that are... I know how to change their diapers. Like, I've been there since the baby stages. But when I read that post, and there's more that goes along with it. Family is important. So, like, I want to know, because I know what legacy, like, I'm trying to leave when I make my risks and I put my ego aside. So I want to know, like, for your kids, because they're probably going to watch this, or they watch you on social media, they watch you get up, and they watch you go to work. I want to know, what legacy do you want to leave? Like, what do you want to be known for from your kids? Like, when you die and somebody is talking about you, what do you want to know when your kids are sitting there and they're like, man, my mom is...
My mom is a go-getter. She gets exactly what she wants because she sets her mind to it. And everything is possible with her. That's what I want them to know. And that's what I work towards every day. And like you mentioned, family is everything to me. My husband, my relationship is my biggest accomplishment in life. If I don't have that foundation, then there's nothing else we can't build. So that's priority. My kids, knowing that mom and dad are good, that we love each other, that we're in a loving home, we work together. That's another huge goal of mine, to know that we really prioritizing ourselves. Their goals are mine, and they have their own goals, and I'm going to do everything in my power to instill in them so they go and get it themselves.
Do you want them to take after your businesses, or are they set up their own thing, or you're not pressuring that yet?
My oldest, his goal right now is to play college ball.
Okay.
And Evan, he's 15, 6'5", about to be 6'5", turning 6'6" in height, giant. And that's his priority right now. And I said, okay, that's what you want? Then that's what we have to work towards every single day. He had an injury recently, and he couldn't understand why. Why me? Why knee surgery? When I was at the peak of summer, AAU was coming, and suddenly out, surgery. Oh, no. He felt like his world was falling apart. And I tell him, this is a life lesson. How bad do you want it? Because in life, anything that you do, there's going to be obstacles. How bad do you want it? Are you going to go through the therapy, feel through the pain, but still want it? Are you going to work out, double the work, because now you're out 6 months to a year. So now you're a little behind. And I have to be honest, to how bad do you want it? So I'll wake up sometimes or middle of the night, I hear him in the garage. He's doing his stretches, he's doing his workouts, he's putting in the work. So that's what's important, instilling those skills and mindset of overcoming. Because yes, you can build something, but if you don't have the mind to withstand any storm, then everything falls apart. And that's, for my husband says it too, mindset is one of the biggest things. So I don't want them to be kids that are easily influenced, that can crumble, that can fall apart. They need to be able to understand life and what it's about, and then you're going to be okay all the time.
Facts. We're renaming the podcast again. That is so good. What's your favorite compliment that you get? What's your best compliment when somebody gives it to you? What's your favorite compliment that you get?
When people compliment me on my personality.
Oh, why do you like the personality one?
I like personality because I'm always so firm, and when people really get to know me, that's what attracts. I would say. Whenever they compliment, like, okay, I had a certain image of or intimidation, but now that I've gotten to know you, you're amazing, or I mean,
that is
I like
a sweet compliment.
I like compliments.
You're the fierceness. You're spicy with 2 C's and 3 E's and 5 Y's. I've actually been saying that my whole life. I don't even know how to spell the word spicy anymore because I just like, when I text it, I do a bunch of C's and E's and Y's.
Sweet and sour.
Yeah. I love Sour Pitch Kids. We should have some on the show next time. When we do like 6 months from now, when you come back in here, like we got to re-up and do one of these other ones.
Okay.
That's super cool. This is another question. At the beginning, I asked you, question that I ask everybody, and I like asking this again too at the very end. If you got to hang out with the Elliott group for a whole week, like be like a fly on the wall kind of style, or like, wake up with Jacqueline and Andy in their house and like sit next to them all day long for a full week, what would you want to learn from them or from our team or our company?
I would like to learn day-to-day operation. I would like to know, I'm an observer, and I like to watch how everybody moves, how they speak, how they're talking to their clients, the environment that is inside the facility, and the friendships that are the team environment. Basically everything. I want to learn it all.
The details.
The details.
The small little details.
The details.
Jacqueline is actually really good, and a lot of people don't know this. Everybody thinks that Andy built the Elliott group. It's actually Jacqueline.
I believe it.
Andy has nothing to do with anything. That guy has ADHD. Did you know he only has 9 toes?
Really?
Yeah,
No?
he has 9 toes, and he has really bad ADHD. Yeah, his sister ran over his foot with a lawnmower, and actually he was gonna die. They rushed him. He was gushing out blood so bad.
Oh wow!
That his
no
dad,
idea.
Yeah, he tells the story every now and then. Well, it gives him the chills, so he doesn't like to say it. But his sister ran over him with a lawnmower, and his dad. That's what it was. His dad was a smoker.
Okay.
So always in the car he would smoke, and he would say, "Dad, can you roll down the windows? Like, I can't breathe because of smoking." Like, Andy had really bad asthma growing up. And the dad is like, "Oh, we're almost to the store. We're almost home. You're fine." And it would choke him up. So anyways, when he got ran over by a lawnmower, Andy's dad is like wrapping up a towel around his foot, and the hospital from where they lived was like an hour away. So Andy gets to the hospital, and his whole body is like purple. Like, he's lost all blood, and the doctor is like, "Your son is probably not going to make it at all." And he went into surgery. They did what they could, and he made it out alive. And Andy's dad goes, "I'm never going to smoke again. I can't believe I almost lost my son." And he stopped smoking from that day moving forward.
Powerful.
Yeah, it's so powerful. So a lot of people think, like, Andy tells these stories, and people think like he is the front face of the company. I don't even know why I shared that story. Fun fact about Andy, but it's actually Jacqueline that built everything. He is just the front face on the microphone, but like everything that you see, all the details, the building, the design, yeah, it's all come from her. Even like our word tracks, like, when Andy does role playing on social media, those word tracks are not his words, they're actually her words. He's just the presenter.
And she's the brain.
Yeah.
She's a visionary.
Yep. She's always had the one that says, like, "Hey, I want this done, we're going to do this." So when they got married, they bought a house. I don't know if you saw this on social media. They had a couples mastermind. So they had a retreat in Mexico, and they bought houses in Mexico when they first got married. And she goes, "We're going to buy these houses, and we're going to pay them off within 2 years." And they did it. So she, she's the brains behind everything.
She's the brains.
Yeah. Women kill it.
That's what I was going to say. It doesn't surprise me.
They're just so good.
Surprise me. That's awesome that she is that, and that he has that right next to him, that powerful, strong woman.
Yeah, he would be so lost.
Motor.
Sometimes he asks me questions, and I'm like, Andy, how do you not know that? And he goes, I don't know. Like, he's very different than social media. Social media, we just put all that stuff out there to show, like, to get the views of how crazy and intense he is. But when you're around him, he's like the most loving guy ever. Like, he's a phenomenal man. So we titled this, our podcast, like in the intro of the video, which you will see once we're done making this. It says, shattering your limiting beliefs. So I always like to ask the guests that are on here, what is a limiting belief that you had to shatter through, and it's now helped you become successful? So when I was 18, right? I'll give you an example. When I was 18, I was the only girl at my dealership. I think I worked with like 2 or 3 other girls, but they didn't last very long. But I would have clients that would come up on the lot and say, oh, I don't want to work with somebody like you. Can I get somebody else? And they're insinuating, can I work with a male? And I'd just be like, dude, that guy's not going to love you the way that I'm going to love you. He's not going to care for you the way that I care for you. But whatever. You know, I was young. I didn't know. And I was like, yeah, sure, let me get you a guy. So I used to always think, oh, I'll never make a certain amount of money, and I'll never, you know, run a dealership. I'll never become a general manager because I'm a woman. Finally, I broke through that, and I'm like,
okay,
bursted through that. So what's a limiting belief that you've shattered through?
I have a similar story. And I think there's lots of little stories and situations that happen that changed our path in our life and view things differently. For me, that is one of the strongest ones that I have. Something very similar. A guy comes in, I want to talk to the owner or to a man, and I said, when nobody else is here, it's just me. He goes, well, no, I want to buy that car, but I want to talk to a man. So then I said, give me a few. I stepped to the back, call my husband. There's a guy here. He doesn't want, I must have been probably 18 too. He doesn't want to talk to me. He only wants to talk to you, to the man, to the owner. And I was so, I would say, embarrassed in a way. And that moment I felt little. I felt belittled. And my husband says, well, toughen up. You are the boss. You are the owner. So tell him it's either going to talk to you or he's going to talk to no one. We don't need his business. We did at the time, but
yeah,
he was standing up for me.
Yeah,
he was standing up for me. So I was shivering. Go back out. Are you sure? I mean, I can wait. I can tell him to wait 5 minutes for you. No, go out. He hangs up the phone. I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I go back out, terrified of this guy, and I'm like, okay, I'm the boss. What can I do to help you? It's either you're talking to me or you're talking to no one. And he backed down a little bit. He said, okay, what information? Give me information about the car. And in that moment, I'm like, nobody else is going to have power over me like that. I'm not going to allow it anymore. I know who I am, what my skills are, and I need to stand up for it.
You know, that is something that you possess that most women don't have, is security. That's important. Security is important. And it's like, you know what? If you don't want to work with me, great. Love ya, enjoy buying your car, but like, I'm still going to be me, and I'm going to stand here. Yeah, like, you can't break me.
That's the mindset. Really, that's it. Like, you can't break me. I'm here for the long run. I'm not going anywhere. It's either you want to work or there's somebody else that's a better fit for you, but this is who I am. Take it or leave it.
And I've really learned that. Like, I feel more so in the past, like, 5 years of, like, I am who I am, and if you try to, you know, bring me down with your attitude, or you try to shake me up, like, you can't do it. Like, I'm going to still have a great attitude, and I'm going to still be smiling. There was a guy that was here at our facility the other day, and he kept making negative jabs over and over and over, and I'm like, I'm not going to give in to your negativity. So when we do our events, like your sister has been to, there's a hill that's right over here, and we do these runs that go up the hill. It's like I don't know, like it's like a half a mile or a mile. You run up and then you come back down, and there's like 300 of us, 400 of us, and we just block off the side of the road. It's Fountain Hills. There's nobody here anyways. It's a retired community, so it's not like we're in Scottsdale with high-level traffic. So there's this side road right here, and again, we're not on Saguaro, the main road, but we're running all the way up and then back down, and we make quite a bit of noise in Fountain Hills because we have this huge facility. And so there was this guy that came over to here, the Lion's Den, the other day, and he made a joke, and he goes, yeah, the locals must hate you. And I'm like,
no, they love me, actually.
Like, no. I'm like, what? Nope, they love us. And he goes, well, I figured it would probably be pretty annoying that you're running up and down the streets, and people probably think it's really loud when you're playing music here, and those people get disturbed right behind. And I'm like, no, We've had zero complaints. He goes, really? Because I remember one time, like, I saw somebody driving past by your facility with a frown on their face, and I was like, wasn't because of us. But he kept poking, like trying to break me. I'm like, you are not going to break my white ass. I'm like, no.
What's the problem, sir? Really, what is it that you're really trying to say? Is my personality hurting your ego?
And see, here's the thing is, like, he's just not okay with himself internally, so he has to project the negativity. Yes,
and that reflects. And we need to, I'm sure you do it. We spot it, you see it. It's not really directed towards me. It's your own insecurities.
Yep.
We move on.
That's it. But he doesn't, like, it's like if you're not curious to find out why, like, I don't allow negativity inside of my space. I become around people that help me pull me into my future, not behind. And I told this guy, I was like, actually, maybe you don't know a lot about us, because we do a lot of community work. Our team goes out, we do communal stuff. There, we have like a like our brotherhood meetup, that the brotherhood clients that I was telling you about. We have a meetup at Jacqueline and Andy's house. I think it's like October 26th, and we have a gal that does private catering for small parties.
Okay.
And we're helping her business, and we're hiring her for the event. So little things
You're
like that.
You're adding to the community.
Yeah, like we, the postal workers love us because we keep them in business, because we mail out packages. You know, the restaurants there, we have like a great sushi restaurant that's here, and they all know us and they love us. They called me and my boyfriend the nice couple.
There you go.
You know, like, we help keep up business. And I told him that, and he goes, oh, wow, like, oh, I would think differently. And I'm like, well, I hope that you have a blessed day.
That's
you know? And it's like, no matter what, see, that's why, like, I want to make podcasts and put stuff out there like this, because you can't break this.
Exactly.
Like, and you know what the breaking is? It's not him. It's not that guy. It's the devil. It's the devil trying to get through.
Always trying to find a way to break the good path that you're on, and it's going to show up in many different forms and ways, and people constantly coming at you when you're building something great. But you have to remember, it's not today. Not today. I am who I am.
Not today, Satan.
Not today.
I am going to get you a sticker that says that, and I'm going to order it off of Etsy because I've seen it before, and I'm going to ship it to your house. It's so true.
Not today.
And I'm like,
that's it.
I don't get upset at him, because I'm like, I know it's not his fault. It's the devil working his play. This is the last thing that I want to say, and then we'll wrap this up. I stopped saying the word lucky. Like, oh, we're so lucky to be here. No, like when we were praying before this, I was like, oh, we're so lucky. I didn't say we're so lucky to have AC and hot coffee. I didn't say
blessed.
Lucky. Yep. That's the key, because the word lucky derives from Lucifer. Blessed comes from God. We're blessed. We have this opportunity. So I've removed that word out of my vocabulary, and I'm like, we're blessed. And it's all just God's work. We're just a vessel here. And like Josiah was saying, he's just taking that information through us. Our body is the vessel, so we can display
and share what the people need to hear. And the right person is going to hear this message and keep moving forward and not give up.
Before we end this, and we'll make sure that we put how to find you and contact you. Before we wrap this up, who's somebody that you would like to speak to and send a message to? Somebody that's important, special, maybe a mentor that's changed your life, somebody that you once knew. What's something that you would like to say special to that person?
I think I would like to say it to my husband. And my husband, he's my biggest supporter. I am thankful for him, and he's helped shape me and who I am today. We grew up together. We've gone through so many hurdles and so many battles, and we have overcome. And I just want to say thank you for being my biggest supporter, for your love, for being the great father and husband. And yeah, that's one of the message that I want to give. I am thankful for him.
I love that. I did one of those, somebody asked me that question one time on a podcast, and I was like, oh, I like that. I cried. I talked about my mom. It was a whole thing. So I'm like, I'm going to ask somebody that question one day.
What is it? What's the message? And today, it's my husband. Lots of people I am grateful for that have come into my life, that have shown me lessons and mentors. But I know that with him, we're building something great, and he's always my biggest mentor.
Love that. I love that. That's amazing. And currently, like, your biggest goal right now, Stepheny is currently building her agency. She's got a team, an amazing team, and you can do it all virtual. Like, you don't have to fly out to Texas or be with her here in Arizona. So if you're somebody that's watching this podcast, you want to be a part of a family a part of team culture, working with people that want to strive for excellence. I know that in the past, like I've worked for other people that didn't want me to do good. In fact, when they saw that I was doing good, they would put me down.
Yeah, it tends to happen.
Yes. So if you're somebody that's watching this that wants to be a part of something greater, a bigger mission, wants to get close with God, what is the best way that they can get a hold of you to get more knowledge, information from you?
My website. So I am looking for people to join my team. We are a growing firm. Great commissions. We're partnered with Experior Financial, and the best way that you can contact me is through my website, StephanyJacquez.com.
And we'll put that in the description as well too. But if you're somebody that's looking to make 7 figures this year, and you want a level 10 earning opportunity, she has done it herself. And because she's a proven factor of that, she can help you do the same exact thing too as well. So we'll make sure we put everything in the description.
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
So am I. It was great conversation. It was very real. And I can't wait to see it all come together.
Yes, absolutely. Until next time, guys, we will see you on the next podcast, wherever you're listening to this to, and let's continue to shatter our limiting beliefs. Hey, Elliott Army, what's going on? Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for watching. If you like that video, you're going to love this other content. Here's a couple of other videos that are very similar to that one. Let's get it.